Have you ever stopped to wonder if the golden rule of hydration, 8 glasses of water a day, is actually grounded in biological necessity or simply a clever marketing echo? This content is for informational purposes only and does not replace professional medical advice. Always consult a qualified healthcare provider for personal health concerns. We are constantly told that our bodies are ticking clocks, counting down until we reach that elusive 8-glass quota, but the reality of human physiology is far more nuanced than a simple tally on a kitchen counter. In 1945, the Food and Nutrition Board of the National Research Council suggested that individuals need about 2.5 liters of water daily. However, the nuance of that recommendation was largely lost in translation. The board noted that most of this fluid is contained in prepared foods, yet the public and media quickly latched onto the idea of 8 individual glasses as a rigid requirement. Over the decades, this suggestion hardened into a universal health commandment, repeated so often that we rarely pause to question its validity. Research suggests that there is no single, one-size-fits-all volume of water that every person must consume to maintain optimal health. While some studies indicate that a baseline of hydration is vital for cognitive function and physical performance, the body possesses a sophisticated internal monitoring system, our thirst mechanism, which has evolved over millennia to keep our fluid levels in balance. Many medical professionals emphasize that the water we get from fruits, vegetables, coffee, tea, and cooked meals contributes significantly to our daily intake. When we view hydration strictly as the number of glasses poured from a pitcher, we ignore the hydration occurring at every meal. It is easy to see why the 8-glass rule persists. It provides a tangible, easy-to-measure goal in a world where health advice often feels overwhelming and abstract. Yet, clinging to a standardized number might overlook the signals your own body is sending you throughout the day. Now that we have addressed the origins of this widespread belief, we need to examine what actually happens inside your body when you drink water, and whether your hydration habits are helping or hindering your daily energy levels. To grasp why we need fluids, we first have to look at ourselves as dynamic, aqueous systems. Roughly 60% of your adult body weight is water, and this isn't just sitting idle. It is the fundamental solvent for your entire biological machinery. Your kidneys, for instance, act as a sophisticated filtration plant, constantly balancing electrolytes and flushing out metabolic waste. This delicate state of equilibrium, known as homeostasis, is what your body fights to maintain every single second. When your fluid levels dip, your brain triggers a sophisticated cascade of chemical signals, the sensation of thirst, to prompt you to restore that balance. It is a common misconception that this replenishment must come exclusively from a clear glass filled at the kitchen tap. When you eat a crisp cucumber, a juicy orange, or even a bowl of soup, you are consuming significant amounts of water bound within those structures. Research suggests that approximately 20% of our daily fluid intake comes directly from the food we eat. Furthermore, contrary to the persistent myth that caffeinated drinks like coffee or tea act solely as dehydrators, current studies indicate that these beverages contribute meaningfully to your total fluid balance. While caffeine does have a mild diuretic effect, the water content within the drink typically outweighs the fluid loss it might induce. It doesn't view your intake as a simple tally of cups, it views hydration as a continuous, cumulative process. Throughout the day, your body is constantly assessing its internal environment, adjusting how much water it recycles, how much it retains, and how much it releases. By focusing on a rigid, arbitrary number, we often ignore the nuance of how lifestyle, activity levels, and even the ambient temperature of your environment shift your requirements. As we shift our focus away from the math of hydration, we must now investigate the most reliable indicator of all, the color and frequency of your output, and what those subtle changes might be telling you about your overall health. While monitoring your output is a vital diagnostic tool, it is only one piece of a much larger, highly personalized puzzle. The truth is that your body's demand for fluid is a moving target, constantly recalibrated by the environment you inhabit and the demands you place upon your physiology. Consider your physical activity first. When you engage in exercise, your metabolic rate climbs, triggering thermoregulation through sweat. It isn't just about the sweat you can see. Insensible water loss through respiration also accelerates as your heart rate and breathing intensify. geography, and weather patterns exert their own pressure, too. You might not feel the traditional sensation of sweating, but your body is quietly working overtime to maintain homeostasis. Conversely, in humid environments, your sweat may evaporate less efficiently, yet your core temperature still demands proper hydration to keep your internal cooling system operational. Studies indicate that as we grow older, our thirst sensitivity can naturally diminish. This doesn't mean our internal need for water decreases. Rather, the biological alarm clock that tells us to reach for a glass becomes slightly more muted. Life stages further complicate these requirements. During pregnancy and breastfeeding, your body is essentially operating two biological systems. Similarly, underlying health conditions, such as fever, infection, or chronic metabolic shifts, can force your kidneys to work harder, altering the rate at which you process and require fluids. Ultimately, your hydration status is a dynamic conversation between your biology and your lifestyle. Now that we understand why your personal baseline is so unique, it is time to address a common question: what happens when we go to the other extreme, and is it actually possible to have too much of a good thing? To navigate the balance of hydration effectively, you must learn to read the biological signals your body sends when its fluid levels drift outside of the optimal range. Recognizing these cues is far more reliable than adhering to a generic numerical goal. While this sensation is sometimes ignored during busy days, it is your body's primary alarm system. Beyond that, the color of your urine serves as a practical, real-time diagnostic tool. When you are well hydrated, your urine should appear pale yellow, similar to the color of straw. Other subtle signs of mild dehydration include dry lips, a persistent headache, or a feeling of fatigue that seems to manifest without a clear cause. Conversely, it is vital to acknowledge that drinking too much water is not just unnecessary, it can be hazardous. This condition, known as hyponatremia, occurs when the sodium levels in your blood become dangerously diluted. The symptoms of overhydration are often mistaken for dehydration, including confusion, nausea, and in severe cases, seizures. Your body is remarkably efficient at maintaining electrolyte balance, but it cannot process gallons of water in a short window. The goal is homeostasis, not saturation. Use thirst as your guide, monitor your urine color for a reliable health check, and avoid the urge to force-feed yourself water beyond what you actually need. Trusting your internal feedback loop is the safest and most effective way to stay balanced. This content is for informational purposes only. If you found this information helpful, feel free to share it with someone who might appreciate a more balanced perspective on their daily habits.